Good morning, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Wednesday, August 6, 2014, around 7:45 in Billerica, Massachusetts. It looks like a damp and overcast day. We'll be dodging some rain showers and stuff. Going to be in the low 80s with being very muggy, but this is the last day of being muggy for a while. We get much comfortable weather to end the week. Some news to report: the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 3-2, and also beginning September 1st, 2014, MeTV will broadcast reruns of Chips at 6 p.m., 5 Central Time on most MeTV stations. And it's going to be good to see reruns of Ponch and John again on the television. They'll be replacing back-to-back episodes, reruns of The Rifleman. Okay? And happy hump day, everybody. And my first video blog of today is my continuing series about the top 10 greatest players of all time for each original 6 NHL teams. The next one is the habs, Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens started up in 1909 in the old National Hockey Association. That was a forerunner to the National Hockey League, and they've been around ever since, and they won 24 Stanley Cup championships. They have a heated rivalry of the Boston Bruins. They're the NHL's version of the New York Yankees because they have so much tradition. They have more Hall of Fame players. They have more retired numbers. They won more championships than any other hockey team of all time. I haven't won the Stanley Cup in 21 years, though. That's a very long drought for the Canadiens, and, we'll see if they win another Stanley Cup. To compile the list of 10 greatest Canadiens players was very, very difficult. There was a lot of names I had to leave off, like goaltender Ken Dryden, Howie Morans, Jacques Lemaire, Jacques Lapierre, Guy Lapointe, Serge Chavard, Dickie Moore, Elmer Lech, Georges Vezina. So many names I had to leave off the list of the 10 greatest Montreal Canadiens players of all time because they had so many good players. You couldn't figure to put top 10, but these top 10 are the best of the best of the best of Canadiens players of all time. Number 10 on the list for the best Canadiens player of all time, defenseman Doug Harvey. Doug Harvey won 7 Norris trophies for the Canadiens. He was one of the best defensemen of all time. He probably was the greatest defenseman in the original 6 era. And he's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and his number 2 retired by the Canadiens. So he's number 10. At number 9, the pocket rocket Henry Richard, the younger brother of Maurice Richard, another great Canadiens player. He spent his entire career with the Canadiens. He scored over 300 goals, had over 1,000 points. He was a very good player and one of the greatest Canadiens players of all time. He's in at number 9, and number 16 is retired by the Canadiens. Number 8 is Bernie Boom Boom Geoffrion, another great goal scorer. He was the second player in NHL history to score 50 goals in a season. He was great with scoring goals, tough player. His number 5 retired by the Montreal Canadiens. That's number 8 for the all-time list. Number 7, goaltender Patrick Roy. Patrick spent the first 11 years of his NHL career with the Montreal Canadiens. 2 times he won the Conn Smythe Trophy. 2 times he was a Stanley Cup winner, and he won a few Vezina trophies with the Canadiens. One of the greatest goaltenders of all time, probably the second greatest Canadian goaltender of all time. And number 7 is Patrick Roy. Number 33 is retired by the Canadiens. Number 6, defenseman Larry Robinson, also known as Big Bird. Probably one of the best Canadiens defensemen of all time. Multiple times he was a Norris Trophy winner. And he was also a great defenseman. He was good, very great. Number 19 is retired by the Montreal Canadiens. Number 5 on the all-time list, Steve Shutt. Steve Shutt was a prolific goal scorer for the Canadians in the 70s and 80s. Over 400 goals. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And he's another great Montreal Canadiens player. Number 4, the greatest goaltender of all time in the Montreal Canadiens history. Number one for the Montreal Canadiens. Jacques Plante. Jacques Plante invented the face mask for the NHL goaltenders. He won the 1958 Hart Trophy for League's Most Valuable Player. I think he also won it in 1962. A great goaltender. He's the all-time winningest goaltender in Canadiens history. He is ranked number 4 on all-time greatest Canadiens players of all time. Number 3, John Beliveau. A great center. He scored over 500 goals in his NHL career. Played the entire career with the Montreal Canadiens. Won several Stanley Cups with the Canadiens. Number 4 is retired by the Canadiens. Another one of the greatest Canadiens players of all time. Number 2, Guy Lafleur. Number 10. He's the all-time goal, assist, and points leader in Canadiens history. He won several Stanley Cups with the Canadiens. He was probably the best Canadiens player during their 4 straight Stanley Cup run in the late 70s. Number 10 is retired by the Canadiens. When he got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, he came back to play 3 seasons with the Rangers and the Nordiques. He wasn't as great as his Canadian years, but that was very good. He did that. He's the second greatest Canadiens player of all time, but the number 1 Canadiens player of all time, the best Canadiens player of all time, is Maurice Richard. Number 9, Maurice Richard, the Babe Ruth of the National Hockey League. He set goal scoring records. Amazing. When he retired in 1960, he was immediately inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. And he is the best Canadiens player of all time, bar none. He set records in the NHL. He was the first NHL player to score 50 goals in the season and also 500 career goals. Amazing. And he's the best Canadiens player of all time, bar none. Well, that's about it for this list. I'll be back later on with another one of these video blogs. The next video blog I'm going to talk about my personality profile, Brooke Anderson of Entertainment Tonight. And later on in the day, probably another video blog will be about the classic game show Gambit / Catch 21. It's going to be interesting. And I might have a 4th video blog if there's breaking news, okay? Have a good day, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich signing off.